the Community Economic Development Workshop meeting for December 9th, 2019. Roll call. Mark Eastman here. John Paul Lalonde.
Here.
Frank Dunbar.
Here.
Rob Carmichael.
Here.
Daphne Iyer.
Here.
Ron Russell absent. Jim Boothby absent. And John Wardwell absent. Review 2019 final draft economic development strategy. Rich?
So from the last meeting, I made additions. I made some adjustments, all per the group's request. Some of the adjustments were on the last page, backside. Under other, create a plan to convert streetlights to LED. Research and take advantage of more solar opportunities. Replace the walls on and along Main Street, US Route 1. There was one other that was added that came in under 1B, downtown waterfront development. It's the last one. It's address accessibility from Main Street to the waterfront.
Oh, I mean like handicap ramps down.
Yeah, I think that came out of the plan that was for the Historical Society, where there was a plan to create a gangway, walkway down from Main Street, because right now there's such limited parking on flat level surfaces for ADA that once that gets full, there really isn't any way for them to get down there.
Any other input?
Yeah, I had a couple things.
Yeah.
1B 4. Probably ought to add grants to potential resources.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, make sure I'm getting this in the right order. Shuffle the deck here, I think. Okay. On second page under other, so 1C, 1. Just kind of a question on that one. We had talked at one point about kind of keeping open the potential of having something in there other than industrial into that site, and wonder if we ought to capture that or how we wanted to address that. You recall that discussion at all?
I do.
Is that a brownfield site, though?
It's a good question.
I just don't know if that's...
I can.
Yeah.
The other thing maybe worth looking into is the zoning.
Well, I think that's what you're referring
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah.
Because if it's zoned industrial, it's something where we could bring it to the planning board to have that looked at for mixed use.
Yeah, in my own plan, I mean, I'm not necessarily, but I think if we capture somewhere that, if we are open to that idea, if we capture it, otherwise people look at it, it's industrial site. I just think someone reading the plan might spark something, an interest in something if we have it in that. But just thought I had.
Okay. Rob, just...
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. There's a couple others. Go ahead.
The broadband thing, did we discuss it as being a low priority because we didn't think we could do any more about it right now, or?
That's...
Which number is that, Rob?
It's 1A4, the broadband, developing the off-ramp. You have it as a low priority.
On the first page.
Yep.
I thought based on the broadband committee meeting that we felt it was a challenge to get there with...
Get beyond that.
Yeah, but I'm not opposed to it. We hadn't seen many examples of where towns have done it that fit this parameters as far as having established providers here.
But on that note, on December 18th, the folks who now own the 3-ring binder are going to come speak to us. They're going to have their engineer on the phone and a couple people in attendance to that meeting.
And that could probably bring some difference
I just
to it.
didn't want it to appear to somebody reading this that isn't a high priority for the town, even though from an execution standpoint, it might be difficult for us to do much until.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, we could make it more than,
It's an important part of our growth.
Kind of the same thing on that, that falls under the industrial site development, and I was wondering if it ought to,
well, I think that's where it went low, because MMA has the library line they're gonna have the library line coming in, and it seemed like Whole Oceans didn't need it. So maybe where it is isn't,
well, maybe it's low there, but maybe we ought to include it in
more
another
in the downtown.
Yeah,
area.
that's a good point.
Including it in
more in
another
the downtown.
downtown waterfront development?
Yeah,
Or other, yep. You can-
Or other.
Or other.
I mean, what, you know, I don't want to restrict it to any, I just didn't think it ought to be restricted to just one particular area, you know. And again, you know, to me, this is a document that potential developers, potential people who will be interested in economic development in the town are looking at. And
no, I think that's a good idea.
we want to make sure we're,
Okay.
We can do that, because we're, even though it's listed low here, it's something that we've been working on, and we have another
And continue
meeting
to work on,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, that makes, what do you think we should call that for priority for that other area? Do you guys have moderate, high?
Yeah.
I think I'm medium or high.
I would say medium.
medium,
Medium.
I think.
Yeah.
Fine.
Are you putting it under other or including it under?
Well, if we do other, then it doesn't limit it to one specific area, because probably if we were prioritizing areas in town, it might be waterfront, a business section, but we also want the entire community eventually.
Yeah.
People can live in their home and do business and.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, yeah. We'll put that under other, and we'll label that number 6.
Mhm.
Kind of in the same light of priority level. Number 10 under downtown, the revitalization of unused railroad tracks. What was the reason for having that low?
Do you recall, Mark?
No. No.
Is there anyone here that recalls?
There was a discussion about Pan Am. Was it something to do with, again, like the broadband inability of us to do certain things right now, or?
No, because we could, I mean, they charged us, right? When
Yeah,
when
the
we
town
bought the tracks
paid to purchase
before.
them before.
But, I mean, there might be grant money for something like that, correct? If you were to propose a park or something, there might be.
Yeah, I know Main Street Bucksport looked at some money for doing that. It wasn't successful, but I mean, that's one stab at it. Maybe if we try something different and actually own the land, maybe that would make it more appealing.
Right.
Seemed like under the ADAPT plan, it raised to a higher level than Lowe's.
You
That's-
did, yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I don't recall if I can bring that with me.
Which
What do
one?
you, the ADAPT plan, I'm not sure if that was a medium or a high, and we can.
I mean, I'll find it.
Yeah.
Keep going. It'll take me a minute.
Yeah.
Did you have something listed for it already, John Paul, in your mind? Did you have it listed as high or medium?
I mean, it kind of
I
fills.
had it as medium.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, because it fills some other goals as well. We talked about waterfront park, with the ADAPT plan.
Okay, I made that change.
Okay.
And then just a typo thing, on housing, address blight.
Oh, yes, yep, BLIGHT.
Yeah.
Yeah, I corrected it on the new version, not the version you got in the
Fine.
mail.
That's
Sorry.
fine. I had to look up that word that you had in there, and it is a word. That's why spell check allowed you to put it in.
Right. Yeah, if you have an old copy, the word came up as BLITE, like, not like.
And then I was wondering, I don't have a real strong, it's more of a personal feeling, but the create a plan to convert streetlights to LED.
That's the new one.
You know,
right?
yeah, and I'm all for that. I wonder about the idea of anytime we are doing something different with lights, about having them more directional and.
To limit light pollution.
Oh, like downward facing, like we
Yep.
did on the waterfront?
Yep.
What are those called?
Those are downward facing lights is what they're called.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they are-
Some-
but they're
some other
LED.
name- They have some other name about sky.
Oh.
I can't
Black sky, night sky.
night sky or something, yeah.
And
Um,
so you want to add that to that, John Paul, as far as convert to LED and
Night sky.
And
night sky?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. That's what we did on the waterfront.
That's nice.
All right.
This is good.
Yeah, I'm not done. I'm
No, you're good.
Keep
No,
going.
you're good. You're doing well.
Okay. You know, we talked about this, and I understand that it's cost prohibitive, but maybe even something in there about, I thought the last meeting we talked about a study or something on, so we get up-to-date numbers of what it would cost to bury power lines.
Oh,
I knew you were going there.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that,
Yeah.
at least getting a current figure. Somebody threw out a figure, but I don't think we have anything.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably, yeah, you know, I think we'd all agree it'd be low priority because of cost, but
To know wouldn't be the worst.
Jay and I met with, I think that's where it was. Jay and I met with CMP on November 21st for the mound, and I just happened to throw out there. I said, hey, so we're thinking about for 1 mile from Mill Street down to wherever 1 mile gets us down that way. I think Mechanic or McDonald Street. You know, how much do you think it would roughly cost to put it on the ground? He said the town of Falmouth did for 1 mile with a $1.2 million grant, and they had single-phase power. He said with 3-phase power, he said it would be a lot more than that. And that was, and they had to contribute. I haven't taken the time to figure out what the total cost was, but it seemed really high because not only do you bury the utilities on the ground, but you also, you as the town, would have to get it to the people across the streets and to wherever that power went. So like the lot that we have on Main Street, we'd have to figure out another way to get it up to that house on Buck Street
Street.
that sits and does not make our property a perfect rectangle.
Right.
So that was one of the things, but I mean, it's definitely something that we can look at because it's, Rob's seen an example in Vermont, and we have an example of Mike Hawes' subdivision. If you haven't been up there yet, that's all underground utilities, and it looks really sharp.
If some major benefactor decide to donate $4 million to the town for
Aesthetics.
got anybody in mind?
aesthetics.
What number one, did that not even make the, it shouldn't, did it not make the plan at all, John Paul?
I don't
I
think so.
don't think it did.
No, I don't think it did.
May I ask a
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
regarding that? What kind of problems will that create for any future work? Like if they want to do something different about a sidewalk, or if they want to remove a mound somewhere, or if they want to do something like that, how much of an impact will having underground electricity have? I'm sure that now you've got the expense of somebody from CMP having to be on site for any work that's done anywhere near where those lines are underground.
Yeah, I don't have that answer, but you know, if we pursue it, that would be a good question to bring into the mix.
That's what I'm trying to-
Yeah.
So you want me to create, that's more of a livability, I would think, than workability.
Yeah.
1C, 2C, excuse me, number 6,
don't we have a number 6? Didn't we add already?
that should be 1C6, I believe, if I did that right.
I thought we added,
1C6 surrounding area develop off ramp with 3 ring binder. That's under workability.
oh, okay.
So this will be livability.
Okay, okay.
But yes, you are.
So you're looking at 2C6 for that?
2C6, create a plan
Just to develop a cost estimate for a 1 mile, underground
Utilities.
utilities on Main Street. I actually think 1 mile from Mill Street would go all the way to the west.
I would think it would go all the way to the mill. I mean, it could be just a half mile.
Just a half mile, really.
Because even if we got on the other side of the post office.
Yeah, it's not-
Yeah, I think that's what the thought was, to go to the other side of the post office was mentioned. I apologize, I didn't.
Oh, it's okay.
Develop
Yeah.
cost estimate for 1 mile underground utility, or half to 1 mile of underground utilities on Main Street. What kind of priority do you want to assign that?
I'd say low.
I'd say
I would
no.
agree.
Yeah.
I think we can find grants for that.
That would be good.
Under the downtown area, number 9, expanding the waterfront walkway. Potential partners. I thought Whole Oceans ought to be included in that. You know, when they came out with their first conceptual drawings, it showed that, they showed an interest in that. Whether, maybe that's gone away, but we'll hold them to it.
Go ahead, Jim.
They made a statement about that in one of the meetings that I was at, and she said that as far as extending the walkway along, she specifically spoke about that, was that it was not gonna go across their property. They would skirt their property. As long as it was outside the fence, people weren't gonna be wandering through on a pathway through their property. They had too much to lose with their fish.
Yeah. I think we're talking is from House of Pizza to the gate kind of thing. Is that what you're thinking?
I remember that. I think they was talking about creating it right up towards the gate, and then there was the part at once upon a time that would go through the site.
Through the
But
site.
that's not. Yeah, that's most
Yeah.
likely not happening any longer.
I kind of thought they, like I said, it wasn't their conceptual drawings, but it was, they thought it was a neat idea because it allowed their workers to
To walk into town.
walk into town and
Absolutely.
Yeah, they did originally in the DAF, I think that they did say that they wanted that.
Yeah.
To extend all the way around there.
And then, did you, on a new version, incorporate any of the public art that Ron had sent you an email on?
I know the email you talked about. I think he sent 2. That would have been under with the other. If I did, let me see. Are you? Who else was on? Were you guys on that email list as well? I don't. Did he send it to the whole group?
I don't think.
I didn't bring my phone, so I'd pull it
I
up.
don't remember
I can
seeing.
tell you. I think the plan is very good and quite comprehensive, especially when thinking about all the work done through ADAPT, Heart and Soul, MSP, the Chamber, and your office. There are things I might suggest. One, bringing forward the idea, supported by ADAPT and Heart and Soul, to bring public art to the development of the town. An example, to use the existing railroad tracks for local art when that area is developed, incorporating existing ideas and co-opting organizations like Lighthouse Arts. I didn't include that one because that was a tough one because we have removed the railroads, but we could add art to those others unless you want to have that as a separate one versus what we have for the railroad tracks already.
Oh, you mean the park side?
Um,
1B5?
The railroad tracks talk more about
A park. Then.
parks and, brew pub and more businesses and.
Where are you thinking, Rich, to put that?
But it could be added to that. I mean, as long as we capture it someplace. I mean,
revitalize the unused railroad tracks on the waterfront to include dining options, brew pubs, and public areas. Public areas.
businesses include signage on the water side. But I think-
Promote high-quality design elements to enhance the aesthetics of the industrial site and surrounding areas.
I don't see that.
That's,
One C.
1C2.
Oh, okay.
If it needs its own title, I'm all for putting that in there. I just did. I wasn't sure if we would include it under that number 2 or under 1.
One
B10.
C, you think of one C, somewhere in one C with the other signage, or it's art? I mean,
Yeah, because is high quality design elements, is that different than art?
I would say, I would think.
You would think that?
yeah.
And he only used the railroad tracks as an example.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily, you know, limit it
No, it can be
to
broader
any
than
form
that.
of public art, it's just, you have that verbiage in there, I think that's, leaves it more wide open.
Bring 1C7 with that.
Yep.
Add that, bring public art to the development of the town. And
Yep.
not specifically say railroad tracks, or he used it as an
Yeah.
example, but I put that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he'd find it, that'd be fine. I'd be fine with
And we could do medium,
Medium.
yeah.
You can get grants with that. And I think the MSB just got a grant for 4 murals, which,
Murals.
did I just say the wrong word?
I thought you said Urals.
Oh, I probably did.
They're not very big grant, they only got €4.
Down to them.
Wasn't even worth the price of the paper. Printed on.
It's a very small mill.
Project Champion, MSB,
Yeah,
is
I
that
mean,
winning?
that's something they've been doing.
You guys all right with that? You guys
Sure.
are on their board?
Okay.
I'll put them as the project champion, and I'll put this department underneath that. Local artists, or should I leave that off? As a partner?
No, I think we encourage local artists.
RA 225?
Yeah,
Sure.
that could be in there.
And I got grants and TIF. Private investment.
All the above.
Yeah, because the final thing I had was just kind of the document itself, and not this document, you did a great job, but is there like an introduction that, you know, it talks about that what we utilize, the DAP plan, the heart and soul,
I mean,
value statements, the idea, 82 ideas, the old, strategic plan, and have those as supplemental
Source documents, yeah.
source documents.
I went that way. And then I was trying to figure out a way to copy and paste that and make that as part of the document, and then have this is how we're going to conclude, how we're going to do all this.
Got a little.
Then I moved my office. I got my computer back in 12 o'clock this afternoon. That's not the excuse, just I didn't do it that way, but I certainly can. This is on schedule for the council meeting Thursday. I can write this up and get it to you guys tomorrow if you'd like. If you don't want me to go through that, if you want to have a meeting to look all that over, I'll have Sue put a hold on that for Thursday's council meeting.
I don't,
I'm fine.
I think we're all right.
I'll draft it up.
Yeah.
I'll draft it up and send it out first thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I'm done tomorrow with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got 3
Sounds good.
meetings, so I'll
Wow.
balance my time with it.
Okay.
Introduction.
We won't go to the town council meeting, chew holes in it.
Anything else?
Did Rob have any? Did Daphne have any?
No, no, it's good.
Frank,
Anyone
do you
else?
have any?
Anything that, I went up to see the Wilson building, I walked all through it, how many of you people have done that?
The outside, I haven't been inside.
I got in.
Inside.
I got in.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed, I really was.
Yeah, you did a good job.
You sure did.
I've seen the pictures, he's,
It's gonna be around for another 100 years somewhere.
On the windows, now the guy, see they got lights in all the windows now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got the piece just to finish the top.
I don't know, is he gonna get a crane here this winter, or?
We talked about it, but I'm not sure if it's gonna. Could be this one or
get
next
that
spring.
thing lighting the front part, what do they
The
call it?
luminaries.
The luminaries is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
right out down the front part, from the front door down the lawn.
Oh, on that walkway?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, Mike Underwood from the assistant manager at
Oh, yeah.
Hannaford.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think they melt, so when it refreezes, it'll hopefully go back together again. It's pretty cool. Yeah, he did a great job. It looks great. If you haven't had a chance, Larry said all the windows have been replaced. They started the work on the inside.
Larry asked me if I wanted to go all the way up.
Did you go?
No, not with my cane.
I went up, it was a little hairy.
Frank, I'll tell you, the last time I went up there, the stairs were like this, and I had to die. It was nice to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Did a great job of that. If that's all for, does anyone?
Any other input?
Any input for the document?
All right.
Get working on it tomorrow?
I want to ask about the railroad tracks. Are they ever going to use those? Whole Oceans or anybody? Or?
The whole Oceans plan is not to use them at this point, Frank.
Yeah.
No one along the rail spur has used them. The train has been off of Center Drive. If you drive up Center Drive in Orrington, you will see it. It's about an eighth of the mile up on the left-hand side, and all the sides are removed from the cars. They have not moved since, I want to say, either January or February of last year, of 19.
I think that land could be well developed if we get those tracks out of there and we get our hands on it.
I mean, get access to the water?
Yeah.
It could be.
I remember years ago when all those boats were there, and they were abandoned boats, lobster boats and stuff like that, and they were there for years, just sitting there rotting.
Yeah.
Finally, they scooped them up and burned them, whatever. But do you know how we got the railroad track out of there that used to, you know where it stops now, by the casino, right?
Yeah,
You know, we used to go almost to the Knox Motel.
right, to Rosen's, yeah.
Yeah. You know how we got that?
Paid for it, didn't we?
No. I don't know if we paid for it or not, but we got it. The railroad car got loose in the middle, come down there, and I couldn't imagine, there's not much of a grade, but when he hit that thing, it jumped up and stole Rosen's building all to pieces, that stuff. So it wasn't long, they took that out, and we got it.
Yeah.
But, I remember one town manager years ago, when Larry Rosen decided to give us a gift. I remember his name was Foster, I think it was. And they wanted, $25 a month to run a line over the tracks. He said, I'll run it through a culvert before I pay them $25.
Yep.
So we got it anyway, but I gotta tell you another story about, none of you know Alan Eaton, I don't think any of you know Alan Eaton. He used to work for Larry Rosen for years, he was his repairman and so forth. He was putting vinyl siding on the side of that, all the staging and everything else. And that car went right straight through it. Now, I've cut out his hair for years, and Rettenford died, I was cutting his hair. He decided to go home for lunch that day, and he's never done it. He always takes his lunch, or else he buys one. But I said, why did you go home that day? He said, I don't have a clue. I said, do you believe in divine intervention? No? Well, I said, you just experienced it. Because they couldn't find him, so the police department found out, so they called home. And he answered the phone. What are you doing home? You want to come back? They said, come see what you almost got into.
Yeah.
And that thing stole that building, all the pieces, and of course they finished taking it down so far, but
Yeah.
that tickled me.
Oh, sure.
I've told that story 1,000 times.
There was one other one, came from a citizen, regards to encourage construction of new senior housing. We have it listed as medium, and the seniors were going to have it listed as a high priority. I think we had it medium because of Mike Hawes's project, and then the potential with the,
Vacant lot.
with the Johnny Wardwell's project
Mhm.
as well. But if the group would like, we can change it to high. Sue did send a response to them, to the person who constructed the email. This plan is an outline, not a step-by-step guide. Housing will be discussed at the January meeting of the Economic Development Committee along with other persons interested in the subject. Rich has already started legwork on this, including outreach to DECD, where he found that DECD no longer does housing rehabilitation grants to communities. Instead, those funds are managed by regional agencies, in our case, Downey's Community Partners, manages rehab funds for residents of Washington and Hancock counties. Despite the designation as moderate rather than high, housing is the first topic of discussion for January, so clearly it is a priority. Senior housing is one component of the housing needs that the community faces.
That's true.
I don't see a problem with putting it high, you know, we're, high, low, medium, all, to me, determine how we do the work.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's gonna be high, but you might be limited in terms of finding investors, finding developers, that sort of thing, but it's still a priority, high priority, it's not.
Yep. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Anything else?
New business for anybody?
No?
We just set a schedule for meeting. I know, housing is, getting big, and then we also need to start, meeting with the groups before budget season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the group wants to, make subcommittees to do any of this work, or
Do you want to wait till,
new counselors are on
yeah,
board.
have new counselors and set that, and, yeah. Does that work?
Yep.
So realistically, we're talking, the earliest would be the end, mid to late January?
Yeah, the 2 meetings in January would be, my birthday's on the 4th, go back 2 days to the 2nd. So the meetings will be the 9th and the 23rd. Will be the council meetings. The 9th, Sue will ask counselors to decide on what.
So we better wait for the first one in February?
We can do that, or we can do it the week after the 23rd if you like, or we can wait.
Okay,
for
yeah, why don't we do
23rd.
that, the week
Okay.
after the 23rd?
Monday still work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be out of town, but
You'll be out of town,
So Monday, the 27th?
Monday the 27th. Should we shoot for 5:30?
Would that
Robert,
make it
5:30
easy?
be easier for you?
5:30 is easier.
Okay. 5:30, 127.
And I guess, do I need to be
You would need to be appointed.
Reappointed, nominated, reappointed.
Yep. Yep.
And then we'll be looking, you plan on staying on, right,
Yep.
Mark? So we'll be looking for 2 counselors, one to replace Mr. Carmichael, one to replace Mr. Key.
Yep.
Okay. And then everyone else is good with staying on, I'm hoping? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you all for your time. I know this project alone, we've done it for 5 months, so thank you for your dedication to being here and helping see this through.
For your work on it.
So, just need a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Motion
adjourned.
to, second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.